Hello grade 12s and welcome to the PAT, which is the Practical Assessment Task sent by the Western Cape Education Department and other education departments to all schools, to learners who are doing engineering, graphics and design in grade 12. This is the actual document from the Department of Basic Education through the various provincial departments of education. And this is regarded as a very important component of engineering, graphics and design. In fact, it counts towards 25%, which is 100 marks towards the final examination and the final assessment of your grade 12 year. So it's very important to follow strategically how this PAT will unfold. Now at the moment, you will be receiving this document from your teacher, which is me, and I will share another document which is this PAT template which I've designed for you to fill in all the information, which is the part 1 which we are going to be busy with. So what I'm going to do in this video is only to be able to deal with part 1, which is the computerized version. So once you have received both these documents, what you need to do is to download it onto your desktop and have it in a folder, and then you can work on these two documents using the one as a guide, which is the one from the department, and the other one, which is the template to fill in all the information until you have completed all the different parts of the PAT. So let us look at what needs to be done and what the PAT is all about. So we're going to be looking at this document here, and you will find that the document consists of 28 pages, of which we are not going to read through everything. So I'm going to let you scroll to a particular page, and the page that I want you to scroll to is going to be page number 10, and that is where it all starts for us. Now this refers to the Practical Assessment Task 1, which is your civil project. You have, however, in this PAT a Practical Assessment Task 2, which is a mechanical design project. But many schools are opting for the civil project as it is much easier to manage, and learners have a tendency to do better in civil. So that is the reason why we are doing the civil PAT. All the information prior to page number 10 just basically gives you an outline of what the PAT is about and how it's going to be done, and of course giving you the various details and rules regarding the PAT and what the PAT entails in terms of how it should unfold and the relevant marking allocations. So that is basic information that you need to be explained by your educator. So when you look at page number 10, there is an entire scenario that must be read in detail. So we're going to look at this particular scenario, and we're going to unpack each of the paragraph and each of the different parts and bits of information that's given to you, because the importance of the scenario is very detailed. It's a very detailed explanation of what the client wants you to do. So let us take a moment to read through this PAT, listening to the detailed information that will be shared with us.
Scenario. Your clients appeal to the local municipality to revoke the subdivision of stand 71 from 2 stands, 71A and 71B, to a single stand has been successful. The intention to build a new conference center on stand 71 can now go ahead as planned, as it would attract more business to the existing bed and breakfast facility on the stand. You have been tasked by your client to submit a suggested design solution for the proposed new conference center. The proposed new conference center will simply be referred to as the building in the project from now on. The building, which must have the capacity to cater for a maximum of 65 delegates at a time, must be a single-story brick structure and must also cater for people with disabilities. To match the design of the existing bed and breakfast facility, the roof must be a Dutch gable design with an IBR roof sheet finish, which also includes fascia boards, gutters, and rainwater downpipes. The building must incorporate either an inner or outer curved wall as a prominent feature. The main entrance must be north-facing and consist of a rotating door that has a single glass and aluminium swing door on either side. Directly outside and in front of the rotating door must be a covered drive-through that is wide enough to accommodate 2 motor vehicles side by side for the dropping off and collecting of delegates. The roof cover for the drive-through must be an extension of the Dutch gable roof design. The main entrance must lead into a large open space/concourse within the building, with a floor area of no less than 110 square meters. The concourse will be utilized for plenary sessions, entertainment and dining purposes, and must have a built-in reception desk near the main entrance. Leading off the concourse must be a small kitchen of approximately 10 square meters, which will be used for catering purposes. The kitchen must have a single sink, built-in cupboards, and sufficient work surfaces to prepare food, as well as space for a refrigerator and a stove. There must also be a built-in serving counter in the concourse, situated near the entrance to the kitchen. Leading off the concourse must also be 3 similarly sized meeting rooms that can accommodate up to 15 delegates, each with a floor area no larger than 36 square meters, as well as 2 similarly sized, but smaller, meeting rooms, each with a floor area of no larger than 24 square meters. The 2 smaller rooms must be adjacent to each other with a retractable wall divider between them so that it can be opened to form a single, larger room that will be able to accommodate up to 20 delegates. Each of the rooms must have a door that isolates it from the concourse and an emergency exit door to the outside of the building. There must be male and female toilet facilities, accessible from inside the building. The male toilet facility must have 2 separate toilets, 3 wall-mounted urinals, and 2 hand-wash basins. The female facility must have 3 separate toilets and 3 hand-wash basins. There must also be a separate toilet facility with a toilet and a hand-wash basin for disabled people. The building must have sufficient electrical lighting and switched socket outlets in all the rooms and areas, as well as large windows to let in sufficient natural light. All sewerage and wastewater from the building must be connected to the manhole on the municipal sewerage line. Included in the design must be a parking area, with 12 standard parking bays and 2 parking bays for the disabled, situated close to the building. The total area of the building, excluding the drive-through, may not exceed 320 square meters.
Now let us just looking once again at the first paragraph, talking about the subdivision of 71A and 71B that has been successfully rebuilt, and now that it's only one stand of 71, and that your client now has requested that that you is very important, and that needs to be explained a little bit further later on. And you have been asked and tasked by the client, which you will have to present a name with, to submit suggested design solution for the proposed new conference center. Now, just giving a little bit more context to what was read, is that this was the initial plan, which had 71A and 71B on the site. And now it has been combined and it has been approved to form one unit. And you will find on this site plan that you will see here that there are existing buildings, which you see here, an existing building over there, and that the site basically is not a square shape, but it has a slanted side, of which this side is slightly longer, of 78 meter 500, and that being 52 meters. And then you'll obviously see on the plan that there are the 4 corner heights. There's a building line on the inside there, and then we have a vehicle entrance of 5 meter access point here, of which leads into the road of main road which has a width of 6 meters. There is a direction symbol on your site plan of which this road part here faces north. So if that symbol is placed right in the center of this is going to be north, that is going to be south over here, this is going to be west, and that's going to be east. You also find that there is a sewer line running from the site plan, and this is the existing sewer line that runs at an angle of 1:20 gradient, and it links up with a manhole here, and that flows to another manhole which is the municipal sewer connection of 1.5 deep. Let us quickly look at the presentation requirements of phase 1, which is also going to be part 1 of what needs to be happening and what needs to be done. So number 1, you will have where you analyze the given scenario and formulate a design brief into 2 paragraphs. And your first paragraph, of course, you will have to write in your own words where you give a brief background of the project and as well as a detailed description of what has to be designed. Your second paragraph must, in your own words as well, give a clear overview of your role as the project manager in the project, as well as the description of the complete design process that you are going to implement to complete the practical assessment task. So that is going to be taking part in the 2 paragraphs. You're going to examine your scenario again, and you should have a management plan which clearly points out how the project will be managed in terms of time and dates. And then part of your design brief is going to be a list of 20 specifications listed from the given scenario. So there are quite a lot of specifications here, which is going to be exceeding 20, but you're only going to list 20 of them. And then you're going to have 5 possible constraints. Note that the specifications that you have listed may not be repeated and reworded as possible constraints. So what I would suggest to find the difference between specifications and these constraints. Constraints are the musts that you have to implement, that cannot change. The 20 specifications are those of the requests of the client which you need to implement in your building. And then, of course, very importantly, number 2, you have to conduct proper research of these 3 bulleted points. Design and floor plan layouts of small conference centers. You need to have 5 pictures of designs and floor plans, layouts of small conference centers. 5 pictures. You need to have 3 examples, which are 3 pictures of Dutch gable roof design. And you should have 3 examples, which are 3 pictures of coveted driveways or drive-throughs. Then you should have bulleted point number 3, designs and construction details of rotating doors with a swing door on the side. So these are your 3 research components. Please note, very importantly, that your research only needs to be pictures and illustrations. You don't need to add any wording. That there should be evidence of at least 5 different examples of each research component in the PAT portfolio. Remember what I said, and I want to repeat, 5 pictures here, 3 pictures here for this example, 3 pictures for that example, and then 5 pictures again. And all of that must be on 4 A4 pages or 2 A3 pages, and it should not exceed that. Then there should be clear evidence that the research has been used in your design solution, and very importantly, grade 12, that you need to have a list of all references used. Your bibliography should be present directly after your research, and we will be talking about that in detail. And that is where your part 1 actually stopped, which is your computerized version. I'm going to change my document to our template. So the very first thing you are going to do in this template is you are going to write in your school's name. You're going to write in the subject, engineering, graphics and design. And this is how the template actually works. So you replace certain information from the guides given. You're going to write your civil practical assessment task 1. This you are going to leave as is due to the fact that later on you will implement and incorporate a perspective drawing picture in this space here, which is going to come from your final design, which you are going to do. But that comes right at the end of your practical assessment task. You will write your name, your grade, which is grade 12, and you're going to write in the year or type in the year 2023. You will have a declaration of authenticity, of which basically states that all the work in this pact from the start to finish will be your own. And you declare that with us as the Department of Education as well as your teachers. And you will have your name of your school typed in here nicely, and you will have your name typed in here as well. That is where you're going to place your signature, and you're going to fill in the date. And this date probably is going to be when you are going to have it printed out, which is going to be probably close to September, October, when the pack will be fully completed. That is where your teacher will sign, and the date will be put in there as well, around about the same date when you are going to sign. Then we look at our index page, which has been populated already. You will see that the numbers are very important and linked with the numbers on your instruction guide. So you will see number 1 and number 2, and 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and you will have 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. These have been synchronized with your pack instruction page. So if you go back here, you will see that number 1 is in fact 2 paragraphs. Number 2 is going to be your research. These are going to fall into 1.1, 1.2. That's going to be 2.1. So we're changing the bulleted points, but that links up with your rubric, which I will show you a little bit later. We go back to our template page, and you will find the other part of the practical assessment task, which are your freehand drawings, of which you should have 2 designs, which we're going to do in part 2. You will have your selection for the best possible solution of the 2, and then we're going to go into our formal part of our pact, which is going to be 5.1, which is your layout drawings. And in that particular section, you are going to do 5.1.1, which is your floor plan, 5.1.2, which is your sectional elevation, 5.1.3, which is your 2 additional elevations, 5.2, which is your site plan, which we spoke about in our pack guidelines. And then we will have 5.3, which is the final drawing of your pack, which is the 2-point perspective drawing. But these will be done throughout the course of the year, and it will end probably close to the end of term 3. We continue with your design brief, where the numbers flow exactly as it is in your guide as well as it is in your index page. Now these are guided points which I have included. This you must delete after you've written your paragraph using these guided points. So the guided points look at who are you, and here I want you to elaborate your role, the company that you work for. And this could be something that you can talk about 5 or 6 years after this very moment. So you can speak about the fact that you're an architect or an architectural technology, for example, and what your role is going to be in the project. And you can speak about perhaps the company, and you can even make up the name of the company, because this is a fictitious project. So name those things. Tell us what must be designed. Elaborate on that, and please look at your paragraph 1 specifically. And here we will look at this paragraph here. We'll give you some briefing to what you need to write there. And then, of course, you will be able to tell us your reasons for designing this, and it will also come from that specific paragraph over there, and you can elaborate a little bit more in your own words, of course. Then, learners, you need to look at who are you designing this for, and of course, where will this construction take place? Where will the site be? And that is something that is not mentioned in the instruction page, which you can actually make up yourself. We move on to paragraph 2, and paragraph 2 is merely the process that will be followed when you are going to proceed with a project. Your client's request. I've added this particular link here. This link will take you to various websites where you can follow on what an architect actually does. So if you have your shift key and you are going to click on this link, so you're going to have Control, Alt, and click on there, and you will of course see that it opens into this website here. The architectural process involved are 7 phases that you have to experience, so you can elaborate on each one of these in there, and this of course links to what you are going to be doing in your project here. It links with this items here where you have to produce research and 3 designs, and you have to present a floor plan, elevation, site plan, as well as perspective drawing. So those are all things that you will be experiencing when you are going to be looking at this breakdown of what the process involves. So we go back to our pack page here, and we go on to 1.3, where we need to have a list of a minimum of 20 specifications given. And this should include things like specifications from your paragraph, which you have in this document that you see here. So you go back to this document and you will find there are many specifications embedded here, which you can copy. Now, for example, I have done the first one. The building should cater for a maximum of 65 delegates. I copied this from that specific part that you will see here. A minimum of 65 delegates. And I put it nicely in a sentence structure. So you alter your specifications. I can do, however, another one. I can say the following, that the entrance must be facing north. And I can copy that. And I will simply put that in my specifications right there. As simple as that. Full stop, and then you move to the next one. And that's how you're going to copy all your specifications up until you have your 20. You can also do your constraints, and I think I spoke about the constraints. The constraints are the musts, and you will have to go to this document over here and see that there are certain constraints that you will have to follow. For example, it states clearly that the building must be a single-story brick structure. So that you can copy easily, learners, and you put that into your constraints section. So there is my first constraint, so I'm going to just change that to a capital letter, and that's your first constraint. These are all going to be found in this paragraph here and some of the other paragraphs where certain things cannot change, but it has to be the way it is pointed out here. And it all starts with must. The word must will give you an indication that that is in fact a constraint. So we go back to our template and we will find that we have a management plan at 1.5. It is a direct copy of your index page, but with a difference that there is an extra column here, and the column allows you for dates and even time if you want to. So if you are going to be busy with design brief, specifications and constraints within a specific week, and I like to do it in weeks. So the Monday is the 13th and the 17th is the Friday. So within that week, doesn't matter which day, I worked on that specific component. If I'm going to have my research in another week, I will have maybe from the 20th, and I will type in 20 until the 25th, if that is a week, and that will be March. And that is how I'm going to do my weekly planning. And you can have the first 4 dates as weeks in the second term, and you can have the rest of it in the third term. So you can plan it strategically how you are going to have your different components done in the different weeks. And this particular section here will probably be just in either the second last week or the last week of October. Right, let's move to our research. Now I've created 3 research blank pages for you of research 1, research 2, and this follows the instruction guidelines very clearly. So if you match this research here, designs and floor plan layouts, that is the first one, this is the second one, and it matches my research outline here. So all you need to do, that there are 3 pages already set up for you. If it goes, the second page goes off into 2 pages, that is allowed because you need to have 4 A4 pages of research, and that is clearly indicated in your guideline. Now notice, just to give you an example of how the research must be done, I'm going to do one with you. So if I look at research 1, that looks at designs and floor plan layouts of small conference centers. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to my search engine in Google, type it into or paste it into my search engine, press enter, and I go to images, and I will have an endless amount of designs of conference centers. So what I should be doing, choose any 5 of those. So for example, if I going to right click and I'm going to copy the image of that one, and I'm going to go to my document here, and there I'm going to paste it as that there as one, and maybe I'm going to move that to my side, allow for another one to be pasted here as well. But keep in mind where we at in our search engine. This is very important here, and that is your link. So I'm going to click on that link as well and copy that link into my reference list, which I will have here now. So I need to move that up, so I'm going to delete and then just paste my reference list there. So my reference list is going to be quite big, so I am going to highlight that and make it way smaller, so I'm going to even make it 8. So that is how I'm going to have my reference in there. Of course, if I have another layout, for example, this one here is an example, and I'm going to copy the image. I'm going to go to my page here, my template. I'm going to paste that right here. There I have my image. I can manipulate it by moving it over. And remember, it's all going to come from that over there. So that will eventually move down so that I have this heading right on top again. And that's how you're going to paste all of these research items into your search bar and collect and retrieve all the information into your pack template. And you will even take 3 in this space here and maybe 3 in another space that you will create as another document here, so that you have sufficient space available for your research within the requirements. And then notice, of course, once you have concluded that, it brings us to the end of your computerized part for now. There is, however, the next part, which is the selection of the best possible solution, but this we can only do after our designs, where you are going to write in evaluation comments of design 1 and 2 into this space over here. But we will have a detailed discussion about that. And that concludes the part 1 of your PAT. Learners, please make sure that you follow the instructions very clearly according to how I unpacked it in this video. I hope you're going to enjoy. Thanks so much for listening.